Hello friends, and welcome. Today we're going to break down a super important chapter for your exams, improvement in food resources. Okay, let's dive right in.
So let's kick things off with a massive question. I mean a really huge one. How on earth does a country like India manage to feed over 1 billion people every single day? Yep, 1.4 billion people. And that number just keeps going up. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. The amount of land we have for farming, it's not growing. So the problem is simple, but the solution is complex. How do we get more food from the same amount of land?
Right, so here's the bottom line. We can't just find new land to farm. We're already using pretty much all of it. The only solution, the only way, is to get smarter. We have to become way more efficient at growing our crops and raising our livestock.
Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, the challenge of feeding everyone. Then we'll get into crops and seasons, the green revolution, how we make better crop varieties, the science behind super seeds, and finally, farming for the future.
All right, let's get into it. To understand how we improve things, we first need to know what we're working with, right? Let's break down the basic building blocks of our food supply. Okay, check this out. It's like our food is a team, and each player has a special job. You've got cereals, like your roti and rice, giving you carbs for energy. Then you have pulses, all our dals, which are packed with protein. Oil seeds give us the healthy fats we need. And of course, fruits and veggies for all those essential vitamins and minerals. It's the whole package. Now, you can't just grow anything anytime you want. Different plants are picky about the weather. So in India, we basically have two main growing seasons. First is the Kharif season, that's the rainy one, from June to October, perfect for thirsty crops like paddy. Then comes the Rabi season, the winter one, from November to April, which is ideal for crops like wheat and peas that like it a bit cooler. So you have this massive challenge, right? More people, same land. India really needed a breakthrough. And that's exactly what happened. It was a total game changer for our country's food story.
And that breakthrough has a name you've probably heard of, the Green Revolution. It was this period where our food production, especially wheat and rice, just exploded. And the secret sauce behind it all? It was all in the seeds.
Yeah, the magic was in these things called high-yielding variety seeds, or HYV seeds for short. Think of them as super productive seeds, but there was a catch. To get those amazing results, they needed a lot of support. Tons of water, chemical fertilizers, and pesticides. The payoff was huge though. Production went up by 4 times. But all those chemicals and water usage had a downside, and it made us realize we needed to get even smarter. So that brings us to the next logical step. If we want to keep producing more food, but in a way that's good for the planet, we can't just keep adding more chemicals. We have to improve the plants themselves. So what exactly makes a crop better?
Well, it turns out scientists have a whole wish list. It's a checklist of all the ideal things they want to build into our crops. Let's see what's on it.
Okay, let's run through this. First off, higher yield. Obviously, you want more crop per acre. Next, improved quality. Think better protein in your dal. Then a huge one, resistance. The plant needs to be tough enough to fight off diseases and survive things like drought or too much heat. We also want them to grow up faster. A shorter maturity duration means farmers can get in more harvests each year. And finally, adaptability, making a plant that can grow well in different parts of the country. Oh, and one more thing, traits like dwarfness, which means shorter plants that use up fewer nutrients. Okay, so that's the wish list. But how do we actually make a plant with all those awesome features? Well, this is where the science gets really cool.
The number one technique is something called hybridization, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You're basically playing matchmaker for plants. You find 2 parent plants, each with a good quality you like, and you cross them to create a new child plant that hopefully has the best traits from both.
Here's a perfect example. Let's say you have one plant that gives you tons of grain, a super high yield, but it gets sick all the time. Then you have another plant that's really tough and never gets diseases, but it doesn't produce much grain. What do? You cross them. And if you're successful, you get a brand new hybrid plant that's a superstar, high-yielding and disease-resistant, the best of both worlds.
And this matchmaking can get pretty advanced. You can do it between different varieties of the same plant, that's intervarietal, like crossing 2 different kinds of mangoes. You can get more ambitious and cross 2 different species from the same family, that's interspecific. Or you can go really wild and cross plants from totally different families, or genera, that's intergeneric. The possibilities are just incredible.
Now, there's another, more high-tech way to do this. Instead of just crossing plants and hoping for the best, scientists can go in and introduce one specific gene to give the plant a desired trait. This results in what we call genetically modified crops, or GMCs.
So you see, it's not just about getting more and more food anymore. That's still super important, of course, but now we know we have to do it in a smarter way. We have to think about the future, about protecting our environment. It's about farming for the long haul.
And that brings us to this key concept, sustainable practices. It's a simple idea, really. It just means we need to farm in ways that let us keep farming for generations to come, without destroying the environment or using up all our resources.
So what does that actually look like in practice? Well, there's stuff like mixed farming, where you have crops and livestock together on the same farm so nothing goes to waste. Or intercropping, where you grow 2 or more different crops in the same field at the same time. You could even do integrated farming, which combines agriculture with things like raising fish or beekeeping. It's all about creating these smart, balanced systems.
So, when we talk about science and agriculture, it's not just about what happens in a lab. It's about taking those scientific ideas and using them to manage our farms in a really smart way, getting those high yields we need, but doing it sustainably.
So that gives you the basics of how we're working to improve our food resources. But the story is far from over. Science is always evolving. So that leaves us with a final thought. What do you think the next big revolution in agriculture is going to be?